It's a story about a podcast and music by me. It has some people in it, but I can't count things. And also it's a filter from your favorite show. It's Grapecast, not GroupCast, and I'm Randy Newman.
Randy Newman may or may not be included in the contents of this podcast.
And welcome to Grapecast, the show where things happen and we talk about stuff. As always, I'm your surrogate host, Cassie, and with me today I have three other people. We have Wes.
You can't put a porcupine in a barn, light it on fire, and expect to make licorice.
You're acting crazier than a coon dog trying to pass a peach seed.
Yeah, you are.
I've listened to that podcast recently. And we also have Ryan.
I can
might
have
be
no
dead.
pants on and nobody would say a thing.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, he's a
yeah. For all that everybody knows, none of us are wearing pants currently.
I have
That's
two pairs of
okay.
pants. I'm just gonna go out and say that. There's two
So
pairs
you're-
of pants on me.
So you're compensating for everyone else's lack of pants.
Yes.
I'm wearing half pants.
Hat pants.
Half.
Half pants. Okay, because
Sure.
hat pants, I gotta talk about that, because that was stupid. But, speaking of the other person who just talked recently, also we have Cassie.
Ready and willing, sir. I mean, hi.
Yes. Alright, so there's one thing I want to talk about real briefly before we get into anything, like, get into the nitty-gritty of whatever we have to talk about. Wes, you've watched all the strong bad emails and all of that stuff. Not all of them, but you are familiar with the series, right?
I have watched all of them, yes.
Okay. Do you remember the one where Strong Bad is talking about like various types of radio?
Various types of what?
Radio, like radio broadcasts, where he's talking about public radio.
Yeah,
And-
vaguely.
Radio waves, microwaves.
Yeah, waves. The one that I thought was really funny was where he was talking about like college radio, and he's like,
Mhm.
college radio can pretty much be summed up into 5 words: dead air, dead air. And
Yeah.
it's funny because the radio on my dorm floor plays music every so often, but this once they played the college radio that is on my campus, and I have to say it's exactly like that. The guy who's in the radio station, he's like,
Alright, that was the song that we just... Hold on. We got song, and I'm out of here for today, but look forward to...
like that, and it was horrible.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
My ears.
I have to adjust my microphone so it's not so close to my mouth that it does that, because I've had to adjust for a long time to try and get it at that sweet spot. But anyway, Wes, go on with your story, because you said you had a story.
I should be governor.
You should be governor.
I should be governor. Because
Sounds juicy.
every time we get sick...
You would do a lot better of a job than the shambling corpse of Tom Corbett.
Thank you. The only thing that I would do as governor would be during the winter time. Every time we get 6 or more inches of snow, I would declare a state of emergency, and no one is allowed to go out.
Uh-huh. That would actually be very beneficial to my college, considering we're covered in snow and ice currently.
Yeah. This came about. Go ahead.
Is this a low dia, by the way?
I'm not sure. This came about on Tuesday when
For anyone who's not aware, low dias is the thing that I've coined where Wes talks about things like they're absolutely positively going to happen, and they're always so far-fetched. It's hilarious.
That's how it worked.
Yeah.
But
well, anyway.
this came about on Tuesday when we had that big snowstorm of sorts.
Classes were canceled here.
Yeah, so were everywhere else. Like, first
Yeah.
day back in college,
Uh-huh.
closed. And my mom was kind of upset because she's
Yeah.
like, oh, great, Shippensburg's closed. It's their first day back. And I hope Adam has money to buy food, which he probably did. Or he just stole stuff. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But
I didn't eat
anyway.
much anyway that day. I just kind of was cooped up here in my dorm room, interneting. Because that's what I do. I internet.
Me too.
Well, I don't know what exactly happened, but earlier Tuesday morning, in between 8 and 10 o'clock, up at one of the Nouse food plants in
Yeah.
Ortana, a tractor trailer caught fire. And it set fire to another tractor trailer that was beside it.
What?
That's
And that-
slightly ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that other
Domino.
tractor trailer set fire to the rain.
No. This
blew up the
this
universe.
all makes sense of why I should be governor.
Uh-huh.
It was so bad, and because of all the snow, not only did they have they had a county-wide call for any available fire police to come, like, oversee or help out or whatever. They had just about every single fire department in Adams County out in Ortana. Not only that, but they pulled 3 local Maryland fire departments to come help because it was so bad. At one point, because these tractor trailers were refrigerated trailers, it had that insulation in the trailer, and the insulation caught fire. It's some sort of like
What?
it's like a rung up from asbestos, apparently.
Yeah,
but
it's that
for
it's
a
like
mi-
that fluffy stuff.
Yeah, it's not like insulation in a house. It's not like fiberglass. It's like, I don't know what it is, but because it caught fire, I think it was like a 1.5 mile radius. The residents around that area were not allowed to go outside because there was a respiratory.
Wow. I'm
thing.
glad I'm currently living 2 counties east.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have had to deal with that.
There was several people that went to the hospital because of the initial, like, fire and small explosion and such. And then a few more went to the hospital because of respiratory stuff because of the insulation. They, like, Adams County 911 was on code red because there was no one to do anything.
What?
So-
Because of the roads and everything.
Because, well, no, there was no one, no like police, no fire department to do anything because they're all in Ortana taking care of this truck.
Oh, right.
So they're like, don't do anything. We have no one to take care of anything. and Angel and I are like on our scanners on Facebook. We're talking about this, and we're watching the news too at the same time.
Keeping everyone on Facebook updated.
We're keeping everyone on Facebook updated. And it was about 20 minutes after this initially started. There was a non-injury tractor trailer accident in Littlestown. A tractor trailer tried to get up a hill, couldn't,
Jesus.
slid down the hill, and got stuck. 10 minutes after that, a car skid off the road at mile marker 2 southbound 15. 15 minutes after that, a car skid off the road and rolled over mile marker 23 northbound 15. And where I live, I'm at mile marker 19.
Oh, wow. So it was pretty
15.
damn close.
Yeah, so like that gives you a visual, like a map type deal of how close I am to this.
Yeah.
And the only people that aren't around, like that aren't in Ortana, is Heidlersburg.
Yeah.
So Heidlersburg is taking care of all of this. And I'm talking to Angel about this, like, dude, this is ridiculous. Why are people going out and doing stuff? And then I'm watching the news. I was watching News 8. They had someone in Harrisburg, someone in Lancaster, I think they had someone in New York and someone in Ortana covering the tractor-trailer fire.
Yeah.
And the one, it wasn't exactly Harrisburg. It looked like Camp Hill. But the one journalist lady that they had in Harrisburg, she was standing in the middle of the road, like where ramp meets like the actual highway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like if you've ever been in Camp Hill where the Boscovs is.
Yes,
and
I
you
used
have
to live near there.
Yeah, you have to cut across traffic to
Right.
get onto 581 North.
Yes.
Like that little triangle where the off ramp and 581 meets. That's where she was standing, and there were cars coming. And I'm like, I can't believe that the news people are just like sending all their people out and putting them in harm's way. And then the journalist people, all of them said, if you're not home, get there now. I'm like, no, if you're not home, stay where you are, because you're just going to make everything so much more worse.
Yeah, seriously.
You're going to like roll your car over or hit one of these journalist people. And then Emily chimes in, and she's like, Wes, where are you? Why are you driving? I'm like, babe, I'm not driving. I'm giving
That
you
is the last thing I want
like,
to do.
Yeah, and like there was a point, and I commented this. I'm like, hold on a second. I am leading the front for not going outside, for staying at home, for telling everyone how stupid it is that they're standing in the middle of the road and rolling their cars over, and you think I'm out driving. She's like, I don't know, you said mile marker 19. I'm like, that's where I live. I'm just giving you a visual map. And then she says,
you have to cut her some slack, though. She's too busy getting hit on / blackmailed by her professor.
yeah, it's true. and then she says, oh, New Jersey just closed. Like, New Jersey was under
New Jersey
a
just
state of
decided
emergency.
to shut down.
Like it's a theme park, and they're just like, no admittance today. Sorry.
Exactly. And I'm like,
Well, New Jersey is
why are you
basically
in
just Atlantic City anyway.
yeah, I'm like,
Nobody
they're all
likes
just spray
New
can.
Jersey anyway.
Yeah.
I commented, they're all just spray can guidos anyway, so why do we care? But I said, why are you in New Jersey? She says, I'm not. I'm in Harrisburg. I said, well, you mentioned New Jersey, so you obviously have to be there.
You
Going
should have told her
back
you were in
to
Kansas.
yeah, going back to, well, you said you're at mile marker 19. You obviously must be driving. I don't think she liked that very much,
Yeah.
but she doesn't like a lot of stuff that I do and say to her.
Oh, well.
Well, she does, but she doesn't, because I'm just so good at being a jerk.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
that led Angel and I to agree that I should be governor, because I would just shut the whole state down after 6 inches of snow.
That
Other
would've
than
been a
that,
good
like,
idea.
I
And
really
you're
don't.
closed.
It's been so damn
Exactly.
cold lately, they should just shut down the state just for that. It's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not like we're Texas or anything. We get like a dusting, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we gotta shut the entire state down because Austin got a dusting.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Florida's temperature drops down to below 50, and everybody goes, "Ah, what's
I
going
know.
on? It's
Yeah,
the
I know.
Put the
apocalypse!"
pants on. Oh no, pants. Yeah. What?
Last week we had wind
are
chills below like -20,
Yeah, seriously.
and I'm inside with bronchitis. I'm like, I don't care. I don't have to go out.
Yeah. Why bother anyway? It would just make it worse.
Yeah, I'll just freeze to death as soon as I walk out the door.
Now, back to the whole thing about the Nouse trucks catching fire.
Yeah.
I feel like that's completely typical of Adams County, because while all the cops and fire police and everyone are like, you need everyone else just not do anything so we can take care of this fire. And it's so typical because that's all they care about is their goddamn apples in Adams County.
Well, it's not so much about the apples as there being a tractor trailer on fire.
Yes, but those tractor trailers on fire have apples in them.
Not
might.
the apples.
Not the
They might have
apples.
applesauce in them.
Yeah, and it turned into like and apple bake.
I could care less about applesauce.
Yeah, I don't really care for apples.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty good. We should go set some more trucks on fire.
I like apples. I don't like apple juice. That shit's nasty, okay? It looks like urine. I don't trust it. It smells nasty. It tastes
Apple
nasty.
juice is great. It's like the staple of everyone's childhood.
Here's my standing on
disgusting.
apples. I like apples enough, but they're not my favorite. I don't care for apple juice because it doesn't taste like apples anyway. I do like apple cider.
Yes.
But I don't like any sort of dessert made with apples. I don't know why. I think they're too sour/bitter to be in something sweet. I don't know. The flavor is just too extreme. Either that or it just clashes in my mind with whatever it's in. Like apple pie. I don't like apple pie just because it doesn't seem to belong in pie. Like when you have a fruit like, say, a blueberry or cherry, those flavors are a little more...
I don't like cherry.
You don't like cherry?
Cherry seems more bitter to be than apple. You might not like the texture, maybe.
Well...
I can agree with what you just said about cherries.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like cherries, because I know they're too bitter, and they're just weird.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Kind of weird.
Because actual cherries, and not like cherry filling or maraschino cherries, like fake cherries, are bitter. I can agree with that.
And like the difference between apples and cherries is, like apples, you can eat like one or two, and like, hey, I feel pretty full. That was a great snack. You have to eat like 6 entire cherry trees.
Yeah.
To, like, feel like you've even like made a hole in your stomach.
It's like pomegranates. Like you have to. There's way too much effort to try and
then
get
you've
out
got so
those
much acid in your stomach that it's
those
just
individual little bits and bobs of seeds, and it's just not even worth it. Because I mean, with a peach. A peach has a pit, but the peach is so much bigger compared to a cherry, where it's like, I mean, maybe by proportion it is the same size, but what I mean is there's more fruit there that you eat at once. You don't have to go picking through several fruit to get what you want. You just have a peach.
Yeah. And you don't have to eat like an entire orchard of peaches. Like you have to eat like an entire state of cherries.
Yeah. And that's why...
State is now a measurement of fruit.
That's why blueberries are better than cherries, because while they have seeds in them, the seeds are so small that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And they're just good.
Yeah. Blueberries are probably my favorite. That or bananas or pears. I don't know. It's a tie between all three.
I like to freeze my blueberries and eat them frozen.
That's different. I like them cold, but then again, you kind of have to eat fruit cold. It doesn't seem right when it's warm, which goes back to the apple pie thing. Like when you have warm fruit, it's just weird.
It is weird.
Like apple pie is hot generally.
Yeah.
Or maybe room temperature at the least. But like, it's just weird. I don't understand it.
But if it's room temperature, then the apples are like gross and slimy.
Yeah.
Ew.
But like apple pie and apple dumplings and stuff like that, that's like fantastic warm. That's like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like it's okay cold, but it's like, dude, this apple is amazing as soon as you like pull it out of the microwave or the oven or whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as the pastry gets cold, it's like, bleh.
Yeah, pastries that are cold aren't good. It's weird how temperature is such a huge factor in eating things.
No.
Like you have your things that are specifically meant to be hot, things that are specifically meant to be cold, and things that are specifically meant to be room temperature. Yeah. It's so strange how that is.
I had this argument with my dad the other day. He made tater tots. And I like my tater tots and like French fries like really crispy and not like mushy on the inside. My dad just generally doesn't care. Like he pulls the tater tots out of the oven and like they're kind of crispy on the outside. They're at least warm on the outside. and it's just mush. Like, it's warm
Yeah,
mush on
yeah,
the inside.
you need
No,
tater tots and
ew.
hash browns
Yeah.
and all that sort of thing. You need that to be crispy and soft on the
Yes.
inside. Otherwise, it's just weird. Like, if you...
Yeah.
I don't know, like, with potatoes in general just are like that. You want them crispy on the outside, like with French fries. And this doesn't
Yeah.
include, like, homemade, like, not homemade, but ones that you buy from a store or ones that you get at fast food.
Yeah.
If you leave them out for any longer than, say, like a couple hours, they immediately suck.
Yeah.
Yep. Ew.
Yeah. But going back to the whole fire thing, I have a story of something that happened to me yesterday.
Did
Dun, dun,
somebody
dun,
set you on
dun.
fire or set your car on fire?
Nearly, yes.
What?
Oh. I'm sorry for your almost loss.
Yeah.
I wasn't in any immediate danger, but yes. So, allow me to set the stage first. So, I just recently got a new job, and yesterday I worked there for a couple hours, like 4.5 hours, and I closed the store that I worked at. I helped close and everything. So that was a lot of work. I got all that done. I was like one of the last people to leave since I was new, and the supervisor was like, "Yeah, you can leave now. It's like 11:30." And I'm like, "Thank God, I am dead tired," because usually I'm not used to like doing a lot of work that late at night. But I mean, it's something I'm gonna have to get used to. But anyway, I'm walking home. I get back to my room. I get in bed, and I'm asleep, or at least attempting to sleep, because my roommate, the asshole, is playing L.A. Noire on his PS3, and it's keeping me up. But regardless, I'm trying to get to sleep. I'm in bed for maybe an hour, maybe a little longer than that. And the fire alarm goes off. So I'm like, oh
Nice.
God, it must be another fire drill, because they warned us at the beginning of the semester, like back on Tuesday or something like that, that we were gonna have 2 fire drills in the same week, one on a weekday and one on the weekend. So I'm like, okay, I guess I have to get up out of bed at 1 in the fuck morning, like get on my coat and everything, and it's in the single digits outside. I can tell immediately. I get all my coat and my shoes on, and I'm outside, and we're just waiting around, and the fire department comes, and the police come, and they're all packed around the back of the building because someone had left a popcorn machine on, and it had burned the popcorn and caught on fire.
What?
Yep.
Nice.
Just a floor or two below me. So they got there, and I guess what happened was they got there, the fire police and everyone got there, and they're just like, really? We got out of bed at 1 in the morning to go and respond to a popcorn machine catching fire? What the fuck?
I'm sorry, sir, your popcorn didn't make it.
We couldn't
Dead,
rescue
Jim.
your popcorn. But, so, like, after, I'm gonna say, like, 15 minutes of waiting, they eventually are like, yeah, there's no danger, we got it under control, you guys can go back in now. So I'm like, thank God. It was the stupidest thing that I had to wake up at 1 in the morning and go outside, stand in the cold for a while after I'd been working for so long. But then, the icing on the shit cake was, I got back up to my room, and I got back in bed, took off my coat and everything, and I'm finally asleep, because my roommate had left the room for a while. I don't know where he went, but it was quiet in there, finally, dark and quiet, like I like it. I'm like, finally, now I can get to sleep. 5 minutes into being in bed, the fire alarm goes off again.
Oh no.
I walk out of my room, and everybody's like in the hall, and there's this one guy, he's got his arms in the air, and he's like, is this real? Are you sure this isn't a bad dream? So I'm like, oh God. I get on my coat and my shoes again, and I walk out back into single-digit degree weather, I think that the fire department and the police had just gotten back to their stations and had to turn around because, as it turns out, the popcorn machine caught on fire again, and I know that because I could smell burnt popcorn as I was walking down the stairs.
Oh no.
So yeah.
If I was there, I would have been. Go ahead.
I didn't get to bed until probably 2 in the morning.
Number one deadly threat in America: popcorn machines.
Yeah, exactly.
If I was there, I would have been like, look, you guys said there was going to be 2 fire drills this week. This is 2 fire drills. I'm not coming to the 3rd. That's it. I'm done. I'm done with your shenanigans. This is 2.
You probably could have pulled
it.
that off. But like if you were in this dorm and the people would have been checking out the because what they do is whenever there's a fire drill or an actual fire in this case, the RAs are the last to leave because they check everyone's rooms to see if there's anyone left, and if you are in your room while there's a fire drill or fire, they fine you.
Oh my
like
goodness,
$60. They fine you $60 for not getting out of your room. However,
what if you can't get out of your room?
So,
like if you're stuck.
I've fallen and cannot get up.
I think that might be cause for, like, I think you could get away with that.
You're like a 600-pound man, and you're going to college, and they have to cut you out of your room to get you out.
Forklift.
You literally take up the entire volume of the room.
He's on the 7th floor, guys. We need a crane and a chainsaw and a forklift. Let's go.
And another forklift. Because that's how goddamn massive this guy is.
So what you're saying is, like, if you, like, don't really, like, know what's going on during an actual fire, and your dorm's on fire, and you die in the fire, there's just going to be, the RA will come to your funeral and just, like, lay a $50 fine on your casket. Like,
or they'll come up to your parents and be like, yeah, this kid has, like, a $50 fine. Are you going to pay that or not? Because we kind of need the money.
That's terrible.
I know it is. But it's so stupid because there have been probably 2 other instances where the building has caught on fire.
Really?
Not caught on fire, but there's been an emergency where everybody's had to evacuate and it wasn't a drill. The first time, I can't remember what it was, but the second time, someone had burned brownies in an oven.
Why is it always food?
What?
I don't know! But it's like, it's never been immediate danger, like I was saying earlier. It's just people burning stuff. And it catches the smoke alarm, I guess. Luckily, the sprinklers didn't go off. But then again, I'm surprised the sprinklers didn't go off, considering this was a fire.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make the popcorn soggy, clearly.
I guess not. Soggy popcorn is not fun.
The sprinklers are up there like, oh, this dude's making popcorn. We don't want to ruin it, even though it's already ruined. So we're just not going to turn on. We're going to make everything more convenient.
Of course.
Good guy sprinklers.
It's obvious that the first fire was caused by a rain of fiery apples.
Clearly. The burning applesauce left the food trucks from Tuesday, traveled through time, and hit directly into a popcorn machine, causing to catch on fire.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was a pretty calculated attack.
Yes. You gotta be careful about those time-traveling apples.
Sneaky apples.
It all comes down to apples. I told you they were not good things.
It's
They're
all
evil.
Obama's fault. It's all Obama's fault.
Of course it is.
The apples know how to time travel, but we don't, because he's not funding this. Why is he not funding this?
Because it's always Obama's fault about everything.
It is.
Clearly.
Buy gold!
As a registered Democrat, I myself am quite tired of the current president But then again, everybody does get tired of the current president after a few years anyway.
I feel like it's a huge job, and I don't know if we expect too much from one person, or if people get there with all these ambitions and then they get to the top and they're like, fuck yeah, I climbed the presidential ladder! And then they're just like, and sit down and watch TV. I don't know, like, do we
I was thinking more like you get to the top of the presidential ladder and then you realize just how much it sucks.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, do we honestly expect too much? Do we expect, like, miracles from a person, and that's why we're always
Wes, just
disappointed?
run for president.
Yes, please. So then
I'll
I
be
can,
president.
you know.
And every time the East Coast has more than 6 inches of snow, I'll shut down the entire country. Not the government. I'll shut down the rest of the country. No one's allowed to go anywhere.
America is closed today.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, folks.
Like that's the day that North Korea decides to nuke us, and Wes is just like calls up Kim Jong-un and it's like, sorry, you can't nuke us today, we're closed.
I imagine Wes putting a giant glass bubble over us, like in the Simpsons movie.
Yeah. It's like there's police tape around the border of the U.S. under construction.
Yeah.
No admittance today.
It's just like it's in the news that we're gonna get nuked by North Korea, and I'm sorry, Kim Jong-un, we can't come out to play today because I grounded everybody because the East Coast has more than 6 inches of snow. I'm sorry you don't know what snow is, but it's really, really terrifying in more than 6-inch increments. Don't forget to buy gold. Don't forget it. Buy it. All of it.
I saw a cartoon just earlier today. It was like it's a comic where you see this like giant pair of boots, and it's an army uniform and it says US on the side of the boot. And like this tiny little Kim Jong-un like runs up to him holding a nuke over his head, and he just smashes it over the boot, and then he just stands there, looks up, and just goes, "What?" Like he raises his arms out, he's like, "What? What are you gonna do?"
It's like a paper mache rocket.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah. But speaking of segueing of like important things, important people.
Yes.
I don't know why it wasn't talked about. I guess I just didn't care enough. It was like last month when Michael Bay was talking about the new Samsung TV and his teleprompter stopped working, and he just threw a shit fit because he
I didn't hear about this.
You didn't hear about this?
I didn't.
What?
It's funny because I follow the picture version of Reddit religiously.
I can't find it. I should have looked it up before. I was watching a movie before I got on Skype, so I'm prepared enough, but not like completely.
Okay, yeah.
But he was not giving a presentation. He was just talking about the new Samsung TV that's coming out, and his teleprompter like started glitching, and then it just quit working.
And it was a Samsung.
And I don't know, but he just got like upset. Like he doesn't do public speaking, and like immediately.
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would.
Yeah, well, he's a director. He doesn't have to like do that kind of stuff. He just sits behind the camera and just like, hey, you do this. He tells other people what to do.
More explosions.
Yeah, but he was talking about the new Samsung TV. The teleprompter stopped, and he got really upset. And like immediately from like behind the screen thing that he was in front of, like one of the stagehands threw a paper script at him. Like it was his speech that was on the teleprompter, just in a hard copy form. And he's just, I can't do this. I'm sorry. And he walked off the stage. And that was it. He was like, he wasn't even 5 minutes into the thing, and he's just like, I can't do this. I'm done. I'm sorry. And he just walks off. I'm like, dude, you have the thing in your hand. Just read that. Yeah, sure. you look like an idiot because the thing stopped working for a couple seconds, but you got
That's
the thing in your
ridiculous.
hand right now. Just keep going.
Now he just looks like
But no.
a little pouty child. It just like
I
stomps
know.
off.
I think
I
he
know.
always was, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but he used to direct porn.
What?
Really?
Yeah, he did.
What?
Yep. And then he just decided, you know what? I'm better than this. I'm going to go direct movies with a bunch of explosions in them.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
apparently flip shit whenever teleprompters don't work.
But I think my initial question is, why Michael Bay? For what was going on? Why would you choose Michael Bay? Like he
I
seems
have
like
no idea.
I don't even know how to go about talking about this, because his movies are okay, but
Some of
you
them,
don't-
yes.
yeah, you don't hear about him being like an actual person. You just hear about, oh hey, Transformers, or
Oh, hey, Pearl Harbor.
yeah, or the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that he's doing, and he's like shooting down and nobody likes because it's not right at all. It's not. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm going to go ballistic about it eventually.
Oh no.
Yeah.
When I find out more about it, I will go ballistic about it. But like
I
you
feel
don't hear
that
about
the more times you remake a movie, the worse it gets.
exactly, and that's all. Another segue, or rather a tangent. That's all movies have become now. It's just remakes.
Yeah,
One of the things.
Have you actually seen? There's a chart that I saw once. I can't really remember most of it off the top of my head, but it's like a chart of 80s best-selling or whatever top box office movies, 90s top box office movies, and like 2000s top box office movies.
Yeah.
And like there's a color code for each one that's an adaptation, a sequel,
Yeah.
or a remake. And like the 2000s are almost all remakes. There's hardly anything original.
Oh,
anymore.
exactly. One of the things I don't care if we get to it or not. One of the things that I have on my list of stuff
Well-
is like best movie or like just a really good movie from last year, from 2013.
Yeah.
And I went through the list of every movie that came out in 2013. 3 of them, The Wizard of Oz, Jurassic Park, and Top Gun, all came out in 3D. They came out original everything just in 3D. I'm like, why? Why?
That's
why
kind of
do
like what they're
we-
doing with releasing all the Star Wars movies in 3D. Like the
Yeah.
only one that's actually partway decent is like the episode 1, maybe episode 3, but
Yeah.
no, that's stupid.
And then you got like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the G.I. Joe movies, Star Trek, Godzilla is coming out.
Yeah, with
Eventually.
Bryan Cranston in it.
Yeah. I'm excited about that because I generally like Godzilla movies. I'm a Godzilla person.
I haven't ever
But-
watched any of those movies, but it would be something interesting to get into because of all
Yeah,
the
but-
different monsters and whatever.
Yeah.
Root for
My
the
God.
monster.
Why do we need so many Godzilla movies? Just why? Like the original ones, that's fine. That's okay. Like it's like that's what it is. It's great. It's good. Don't touch it. But like you get like the I don't even know how many Godzilla movies there are now. I
A
think this will be
ton.
the 4th or 5th one.
As in remakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably
think-
somewhere around that number.
Yeah. Why do we need that many of different they're adaptations.
I
Why do we
think-
need that many adaptations of one thing?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for a second and make an assumption as to why that is. I think that there are a lot of directors out there, and each one has their own style and auteur theory and all that.
Yeah.
And they each kind of want to, like, if they see a really successful movie series or franchise or just type of movie in general, and they look at it and they see how successful it is, maybe the thought in their mind is like, oh, maybe I should try and tell this story myself and see how different it could be, how I could retell it, how it will look when I'm directly involved with it. I don't know. That's
Essentially what it. Well, essentially, like what you're saying is like let's say Michael Bay and Steven Spielberg. Michael Bay wants to do a remake of Godzilla, and Steven Spielberg already did one 10 years ago. And Michael Bay is like, I'm the best director in the past 30 years. I could totally do this. It's an ego thing.
Yeah,
they're just feeding their ego.
Yeah.
It's like I can do this better than that guy 10 years ago when I have all this great access to stuff, this great stuff. Like I bought gold, I invested in stocks, I didn't set fire to an Apple truck. I could totally make a better adaptation of something that's 10 years old. When
But
10
the
years
sucky
ago,
thing
all you had.
is,
Go ahead.
like,
Go ahead.
even with all the new special effects and all of the new shit that is just, it has potential to make like a boss movie. The new remakes suck. They choose the shittiest actors. I mean, like, and even if they do choose good actors, it seems like the directors, what are they doing? What are they just sitting there looking the other way when someone's reading their line? Like, I mean, I've seen, like, little kids act better than that. I'm like, come on, sell it.
You know what
Sell
I think is
and they're
funny?
just like,
You know what I think is funny? We've only had movies around for 100+ years.
Yeah.
And yet, they're only just recently starting to really, like, most of them are really not doing so good. Like we were saying earlier, either they're bad, or they're adaptations, sequels, or remakes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, books have been around for centuries upon centuries, and you never see... I mean, yes, originality is a problem because, you know, there are only so many ideas that can be completely and utterly original, but you see good books all the time.
yeah.
I don't understand that.
Well, the problem is Hollywood. The problem is the people who are making these movies. What are they doing? They're trying to come up with the thing that will make them the most money, and they try to come up with what they think sells. And what they think sells is sex, violence, and special effects. Yeah. And to a point, that works. It really does. I mean, that's what we go to. Oh man, there was only one explosion in that movie. There could have been like a dozen. Right? Okay, yeah. But you need a good plot. You need a good story to hold all of that other crap together, or else it's hollow. There's nothing. It's not worth seeing. And I think there's a lack of really decent directors and producers, because I think the producers are probably the ones like fronting most of it, and the directors have to communicate with the producer about like what they're allowed to do. I don't know exactly how it works, but I can only imagine like the higher ups get the final say, even if you have a good idea. And I think there's a lack of good teams in Hollywood that actually grasp what is interesting to real people and not just what makes money.
Yeah, you know, there are in fact good movies out there, and there are a good handful of them every so often. Like that movie Her that I keep talking about that I really want to see but haven't yet. You know, the one where it's the guy that falls in love with the computer. I like that idea. I think that's really original.
It is interesting.
What time period is that supposed to be set in?
Like, near future.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was like turn of the computer century.
Yeah,
and this guy is like... that's what it looks like.
The guy has, like, the demeanor and image of that kind of person, but no. It's supposed to take place in the near future. With Scarlett Johansson as the voice for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know who the guy is?
What?
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Guy is?
Who?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
What?
He was Johnny Cash in Walk the Line.
I loved him! I'm sorry.
He's a great actor.
Sorry.
It's that guy.
I thought he was awesome! In, what else was he in? He was in,
I don't remember.
I'm scratching my head here. See?
I'd look it up, but I'm recording, so I can't
He
remember.
always plays like either a bad guy or the tortured good guy. It's like, he does a good job. I like him. Okay, I want to see it. You sold me already.
Yeah, it looks like a really good idea.
I just want to go back for a second just because I've been sitting on this for how long we've been talking about it. Just like 10 years ago, like you could have like a team of A-list celebrities, and all you have to record this movie is a potato and a mattress. And then 10 years later, Michael Bay, for instance, comes around and is like, I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna make it even better. I have IMAX and explosions.
I'm gonna film it like it's porn.
Yeah, and all these fancy cameras and everything.
Did you ever see the?
But I'm going to bring in all of the D-list celebrities I could possibly scrape up off the street. That's how movies are today. Where 10, 20, 30 years ago, you could record it with a potato, and it's the greatest movie ever.
Yeah,
but
like that
10,
movie.
20,
that
30
that movie,
now,
12 Angry Men. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
It's called 12 Angry Men. Really, all it is.
Yes.
The entire movie takes place in one room, and that's it.
It does.
What?
It was probably the greatest movie I've ever watched.
It's an
in high
amazing
school.
movie.
It is.
What? That's cool.
Yep.
Well, but
Yeah.
the content of acting is so crap now. It's because it's like, okay, so whose dad do we have to schmooze up to? Or who's going to give us the most, like, I don't know, financial backing for this?
Exactly.
Or, like, who's popular? It's not who can act. And we put so much, or at least Hollywood puts so much emphasis on who they consider to be perfect or beautiful, and not who has
That's why
acting
Leonardo
talent.
DiCaprio doesn't have an Oscar.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I forget.
know. Isn't that...
Honestly,
Oh,
I
I
don't
heard-
care. He makes a ton of money. He shouldn't have to worry about that.
I heard a conversation.
But he's so good. That's not
I heard a
fair.
conversation a couple days ago. It was last week maybe. I forget who all it is. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Will Smith, and a couple other like amazing actors don't have Oscars.
What?
But they're amazing
You mean Will
actors.
Smith doesn't have one even
Will Smith
after
does
like
not have an
I Am
Oscar.
Legend?
Well, you know,
What?
He
Will
does
Smith's
not have an
movies
Oscar.
haven't. Movies that Will Smith
No,
is in have been
he does not
kind of
have an
going
Oscar.
downhill, but yeah, he is a really good actor.
Yeah.
He is, yeah. That's a shame. That's a real shame. Because if you look at the people who do have them, no offense, but to me they seem a lot like actors that stereotype themselves. You know this kind of actor, like how Johnny Depp in like 90% of his modern movies, he's playing like the comical, like drunken, confused, silly person.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Or
if you
Michael
take him
Jackson
from,
in the
like-
case of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but that's beside the point.
yeah, but he's like themed himself, and he's stereotyped himself so much that I
He's
mean,
typecast.
yeah, exactly. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Thanks.
There are a
But
lot of
it's-
people like that, though. People who are like
a
stereotypes
shame.
of themselves.
Yeah.
But he wasn't always like that. I don't know if you guys
Elijah
have
Wood
seen
and Daniel
the movie.
Radcliffe. Those two,
The-
no matter what they're in, they'll always be Frodo Baggins and Harry Potter. You watch Wilfred on FX,
Yeah.
and you're like, why is Frodo tripping out and talking to this dog?
See, you're
voice?
absolutely
What is
right
going
about
on with
that. You're absolutely right about that.
Typecast at its greatest.
Yeah, the reason
I-
that Johnny Depp hasn't had that problem is because he never looks like himself in any of the movies.
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't.
Oh, recently I saw the I know this is so on theme, but I saw the remake of The Lone Ranger, and it was actually really good. It had a lot
Really?
of
I heard
explosions.
it was terrible. I
No,
heard it was terrible.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for it to be exactly like the old Lone Ranger, it's
Oh, yeah.
not.
I didn't
Okay,
think it would be.
and that's what the majority of people who are going to say, this sucks, is because that's what they're looking for. I went in with fresh eyes. I was like, I know it's not going to be like that, so I'm not even going to try to make it compare. Let's just judge this on how this movie is. And it was actually pretty good. I mean, it wasn't the best. It was kind of forgettable, but it was fun to watch, and I'd watch it again.
All right.
And so for that, I'd give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10, I guess. And like Johnny Depp was very funny in that movie, but he was the typecast of himself. He was silly
Yeah.
and
And you
confused.
gotta remember that movie is a Disney movie, and there was
Yeah.
a point that Disney just gave up. They're like, we don't care. We're Disney. We own Marvel Comics. We could do whatever we want with that. I forget what we own. We now own Star Wars. We could do whatever we want with that. We basically own the entire world.
Yeah.
We
Taking over the world with
happiness.
We made 2 National Treasure movies, both starring Nicolas Cage, and they were just fantastic.
Yeah, I liked it. They're actually coming out with a third one.
Give up.
They're coming out with a third National Treasure.
I don't even want to see it.
I would.
Care.
I'd see it.
Really don't.
I don't know. It probably is not going to live up to expectations. Did you know when Disney did Alice in Wonderland, they actually did not have the proper permission to use it, and they never even apologized. Yep.
Huh. But I guess
absolutely
they, of all people, could get away with that.
Yep. They didn't give any...
Funny,
they own the world. They bought
Disney...
stock. They bought gold. They set fire to Apple trucks.
Disney is sort of hit and miss
Disney
nowadays.
Overlords of the World 2015.
Exactly.
Disney is sort of hit and miss nowadays with their movies. Because I heard Frozen was one of the best movies in a long time that they've made. But of course, I haven't seen that either. I'm just going off of what I've heard.
I just felt like, I don't know, I saw a couple of the, like, newish Disney movies, like, from the last 10 years, I guess, last 5 or 10 years. I saw The Princess and the Frog, and I was like, this is so stupid. It's like, it's obviously just an attempt to sell the Cinderella story to, like, the Cinderella-type story to a different crowd of people. It's like, this is so hollow, the storyline is so crap, like, you could have just done a remake of something else, for that matter.
Well, I kind of feel like they tried at least. Maybe they weren't going for plot or anything. They just wanted something. Considering all the stories that they have are from like places where all the people are white or some offshoot of white.
Yeah, but they could have at least taken it a little farther. It was more like, oh, we want to sell this to black people, and we want to make money off of it. They didn't even bother putting together a story that was not done a few times.
I guess I don't hate Disney as much as some people would. I don't know.
I don't hate them. I just feel like for all the money and power they have, they could do a little bit better.
Maybe. I don't know. I really don't. But let's get off the topic of movies here because I want to talk about something that I found out about yesterday that just blew my mind.
Oh no.
Now, I need you guys to think about this really hard.
Okay.
Do you know what happens when a caterpillar goes inside a chrysalis and turns into a butterfly? What happens when it's in a chrysalis?
Metamorphosis.
Yeah, but how does that work?
It becomes a metapod.
Yeah, exactly right.
Does
It becomes a metapod. But how does that work? Do you know how that works?
Does it liquefy?
It actually does liquefy.
What? That was just a random guess. Oh my god, are you kidding me? That's gross.
When a caterpillar goes into its cocoon, it just deconstructs and melts into a mush. And then
shapeshifter devil spawn.
And then like reforms from like the bases and just turns into a butterfly. But that's not the mind-blowing part. Because I listened to this podcast called Radio Lab, and they have some of the most amazing stories I've ever heard in my life. And I talked about one of them a while ago on Grapecast. But this is one of those where it was amazing what they were talking about black boxes. In other words, stuff comes in, stuff comes out, but you don't know what happens in the middle.
Yeah.
And this was one of those things. So people wanted to know what goes on there. So someone in some research institute, I can't remember exactly what, they did a test to see just how much of that mush is caterpillar and how much of that mush is butterfly. So what they did was they took a bunch of caterpillars and they exposed them to the scent of nail polish remover, which if you haven't smelled nail polish remover, you wouldn't know that it is incredibly strong and incredibly disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, every time they were exposed to this scent, they would shock the caterpillars for about 10 seconds. So every time they smelled the scent, they would get shocked. And they'd do this over and over and over again until the caterpillars began to hate the scent. Whenever they smelled it, they would go in the opposite direction and get away from it as soon as possible.
Whoa.
So then the caterpillars would go to pupate. They'd go in their cocoons and they'd hang out for a while. And then they became moths. And when they did, they got the nail polish remover out again and exposed them to it, and they flew away. They didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Huh.
And the reason that's really fucking awesome is because even though when a caterpillar goes into a chrysalis and it just melts into residual pieces and then reforms, it still remembers stuff from when it was a caterpillar.
That's crazy.
But there's more to it than just that. There's more to it. What were you going to say?
Well, when you're done, I have something pretty awesome to say about butterflies, too. So hopefully
Okay.
you don't say what I've got to say, so I'm just going to sit tight and listen.
Okay, so it turns out that not only do caterpillars, when they melt and everything, not only do they just turn into regular mush, there's actually bits and pieces of brain, there's bits and pieces of gut and leg and all that stuff. So you just have the very basic building blocks and a few residual pieces. But I think the thing is really interesting is they I can't remember any of the major details, but some other research institute, a professor of some kind, dissected caterpillars for a biology lesson, and they discovered that there's actually a tiny butterfly inside caterpillars.
What?
And by that, I mean the parts of butterflies, like there are tiny wings, there are tiny legs, there's a proboscis. All of those pieces are inside a caterpillar, kind of like in stasis, just hanging out there. Whenever they go into the chrysalis and reform, that stuff comes out and starts building up with the residual mush.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that blew my mind when I learned about that.
What
Butterfly
I'm hearing from this is that Mega Butterfree is confirmed.
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
Well, I
Butterfly
thought what you were gonna
inside
say.
butterfly. So what were you gonna say, Cassie?
Oh, and thanks. And I'm so glad that you had that to share, because that was awesome, and it segues really neatly into this, which is really cool. Okay, so I have this YouTube channel that I love to follow. It's called Smarter Every Day, and they do
I know about
awesome
that.
things about all kinds of stuff. All right, yeah.
Yep.
And I watched one, I think it was yesterday, about butterfly wings under an electron microscope. So these guys that do the show, they go to the Amazon rainforest, and they go to different places to check out bug and lizard samples all the time. And the one guy, I think his name is Desden, he came back to the USA, and he had a bunch of butterfly wings, and he wanted to know what they looked like under an electron microscope. Because they had done this thing where they picked up a butterfly, and they used one of those high-speed cameras to film him dropping it and watch it fly, and they saw what looked like, they said, pixie dust come off the wings. And we all know that is the scales from the wings coming off, because they shed... Yeah, I think most of us have been told not to touch butterflies.
When you grab like a moth's wings, it's dusty.
Yeah, and they become clear if you touch them too much. But so he wanted to know how these scales were connected to the wings and what they looked like in like a very, very close-up environment. So anyway, he took these samples to this really fancy, awesome, smart guy who knew all kinds of stuff about physics and electron microscopes, which is cool.
Okay.
And they put the butterfly wings under the electron microscope, and what you're expecting to see with something so vibrantly colored is pigment. But in fact, they did not find pigment. What they found were nanostructures. These nanostructures are tiny little ridges and holes, and what they do is from the side, like from the angle we look at them, the light will hit these nanostructures, and they're formed perfectly so that they refract certain light colors of the spectrum, so that what we see might be a vibrant blue because it's refracting, I think, red light or something. Anyway, and then, and what we see is blue, but what's there is not actually blue, it's pretty much gray or something. But these tiny itty-bitty nanostructures, so when you think about a caterpillar reforming in a cocoon, it's also building nanostructures in wings that give it color. Yeah, and there's something really cool you can do to actually see the effect of this. If you find a dead butterfly, you can actually take some isopropyl alcohol and just, like, pour it on the wings, and you can watch it. They'll turn gray, like, nearly completely colorless. And then as the alcohol dries, the vibrant color will come back. Because,
that's so weird.
Yeah,
So,
the alcohol will disrupt what the nanostructure is doing with the light because it's wet. And
so now the question is, why do they need to refract light like that?
I don't know, and it's weird. I mean,
Half-Life
if you think
3.
about it, maybe
Yeah, Half-Life 3 is confirmed because of butterfly wings.
maybe it's an
Butterfly
environmental thing. Like, if they all live where there's vibrant flowers, well, also you have to take into consideration their interaction with one another and the whole male-female thing in the species.
Right.
Like, a male wanting to attract a mate by being beautiful. Even birds do that.
Peacocking.
Yeah, probably. It might be that.
So, oh my gosh! On that note, I have another cool thing to share, and I'll make it brief.
Is it about butterflies? Because I have one thing to add about butterflies that I also know.
You go first.
Okay. I talked about this before, but I want to bring it up again since we're talking about butterflies. You know that humans have 3 cones in their eyes so they can see an amount of colors. The most basic color spectrum.
Yeah.
And dogs have only 2 cones, so they can only see a more limited rainbow.
And that's where the popular misconception that they're colorblind came from.
Yeah. So they only see, like, yellow and blue or something like that. Now, butterflies actually have 5 cones in their eyes, so they see an even huger rainbow than we do. So they see both really deep, dark red and really bright, shiny purple.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was just adding that
is
in.
so
You can
cool.
go on with your other thing.
There's another, I forget what they're called. I think they're a type of lobster or something like that.
The mantis shrimp.
Yeah, and don't they have like 16 or something?
They do have 16.
Like a very large number? Yeah, I was gonna say a very large number of colors they can perceive. Their rainbow must be beautiful, which is ironic because they have so many colors.
It fills up the entire sky.
Yeah. Okay, so what I have to share with you is the peacock spider, and I'll just link it in there. People listening to the podcast can't hear it, but maybe you guys can cleverly slip a picture of it in there.
I can put in a link or something. Because this is going on YouTube.
Awesome. They are awesome. Basically, it's just a little spider, and they have the males have a very colorful back, and they do this hilarious dance.
I'm gonna bring this up on the oops. Dang it, go away. Hold on a second. Oh, it's a video. Okay.
Yeah, I can get a picture, but
if you can get a picture, I can put it up on the screen and everybody can look at it. So if you're doing something else while listening to this podcast, right around now is where you want to look at your screen to see what we have to show you.
Right around now.
Yeah, right around now. Whenever you post it, I will put it up.
It's coming. It's right there. Okay.
Okay, let's take a look at this.
Yeah, so it does this hilarious dance where it like shakes its butt and puts its back legs up in the air, and it's just hilarious and awesome.
There you go. That's the picture of the rainbow spider. That's pretty hilarious. It looks like it's got one of those weird African hats on, and it's like
it does. Like when it dances, it shakes its back end.
Goes up any longer, feel the rhythm. Do that conga. Sorry.
I have nothing else to say other than that spider is awesome. And also, spiders apparently have eyelashes.
Really? That's
Yep, I don't
odd.
know if they're called eyelashes, but if you look at pictures of spiders really up close, above their eyes, they have these pretty little things like eyelashes. They're gorgeous.
Nature is so badass. Why do we
You know,
all
actually,
suck? We're here talking about sucky movies and how our culture just likes to recreate the same stories over and over again. Meanwhile, we have caterpillars that have butterflies literally inside them, and we have spiders that shake their asses at other spiders and have eyelashes. What's wrong with us?
We're just diverse.
Yeah, maybe.
anyways,
Don't forget to buy
I-
gold.
I don't exactly own any segues, but
Neither do I, but go on.
But whenever we were on the topic of remakes, I was thinking about this, and there are so many Ocarina of Time remakes. There's 3 different versions for the NES, 2 on the GameCube. Oh, not the NES, but the N64. 2 on the GameCube. The download.
There's Master Quest, and there's another one from the GameCube. I know about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the downloadable version on the Wii and the 3DS version.
Well, it is considered to be the best video game of all time.
Well, I mean, it doesn't exactly have a great story. There's
You don't
so
think?
there's so many holes in it, like that can be filled.
I've never actually heard anyone say it's not as good as you think it is.
I mean, I feel like that they could have given more detail on the sages. How did they become sages? Did they die?
It's a future Zelda game. You'll see.
Yeah, maybe we're just programmed like that now because we've had such like in-depth RPG games and stuff. I mean, you don't really just kind of like say, I'm a this or that and not question it anymore. You kind of like want to know, how did this happen? What do I do? Where do I go? And it's
Yeah.
it's
Like,
from a
don't get me
simpler
wrong,
time.
It's a great game. It's a great game, but I feel like it could be improved.
Maybe. But anyway, we are coming up on that time, so we're going to have to end off here. We're at an hour and 6 minutes. 7
Dun
minutes.
dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Ah.
So anyway, thank you for listening / watching for that short amount of time to Grapecast. For Wes
Congratulations on your purchase of a Black Forest cuckoo clock.
and Ryan,
Cocoon!
and also for Cassie.
I'm only here because they paid me to be. I mean, what?
I'm your
Wait, they're
surrogate
paying
host,
you?
Casey. We may or may not be paying Cassie for her services. You're welcome, Internet.